podcast, episode 22, wrapping up February with Olga and Colin.
Hello. We are going to talk about news. We're going to talk about new releases. We're going to talk about music stuff. I'm okay. How about you?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Took us a little while to get moving on this episode, but here we are. We're going to talk about the new lineup for Punk Rock Bowling.
Okay.
Weezer's got a musical. ALKALINE Trio's recording. My Chemical Romance is doing a freaking virtual concert and a bunch of weird stuff. Machina breaks up, which is a couple months ago. Offspring, new music, tons of new music. And I guess that's, I guess we can start from there.
Yeah. So the first news is that Punk Rock Bowling has finally announced a lineup for fall of this year, which is 2021, in case you're finding this in the future. And it looks a little bit it looks smaller than the previous lineup.
The new lineup is Devo, NOFX, and Circle Jerks on the top row.
Yeah. And there's less bands listed so far, but they have said that they will announce club shows, I think in a couple of months, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Well, last year's was huge. Oh, last year's. 2 years ago, was it?
I can't tell.
Remember, they expanded. They did expand, though. It was a huge double. They had wasn't it 3 stages? I can't remember. There was a ton.
I think 2. I think there was 2 stages.
And so it doubled the bands that they had previously from the year before that. So maybe now they're thinking, okay, we don't need to do that.
Maybe they'll do single stages.
And it'll be more like it was 2 years ago or something. So there should be less bands if that's how they're doing it. And I would imagine that would be the way to go if I'm the promoter.
Actually, I feel like they had it at the same venue before, but it didn't include the parking lot. So maybe they are not cutting the parking lot. But it would make sense if they had if they planned for a smaller festival this year, because I think that even if this happens, which I am really hoping it does, but I'm not holding my breath because otherwise I would just die holding my breath most likely. I think a lot of people are still going to be hesitant to travel, or people are having financial issues and so on. So I don't know if it can be as big this year. And it seems like a good way to kind of ease into it with like a smaller lineup, and maybe even if it's 10,000 people don't show up, it's still a pretty big festival. Yeah. So
the thing that caught my attention, though, was that NOFX is on the top line of this bill.
Correct.
NOFX, I believe it was 3 years ago, made that joke about getting murdered in Vegas.
Right.
And how they were banned from Vegas. They would never play in Vegas anymore. There's this big stink about how they're terrible, rotten people, and they will never do it. Well, that's over. No one cares now.
You know what's crazy? I forgot that even happened.
Yeah, I remember. We were there. I remember when he said the joke.
We were there when they said the joke.
I was like,
honestly,
boy.
Our whole collective memory as people has been it's kind of like a palate cleanse. Like all the things that happened before COVID are kind of such a memory,
We're just happy to have you here. That's the things before.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to not like you. You were such a jerk to me. Blah. And now I'm like thinking, I haven't seen you in a few years. I'm willing to let bygones be bygones here.
Yeah.
And we'll hang out. That's NOFX in Vegas now.
Yeah. That's funny. You're right. I didn't even, and they will have new album come out by then.
We're going to be talking about that one next episode.
Correct.
And I mean, I did hear it just as an intro. Sounds like a NOFX album.
Yeah. But the lineup looks pretty cool so far. Anti-Flag, Lawrence Arms, The Bronx. I mean, at this point, I would go for any lineup if this festival was going to happen. I'm ready to just go and do something fun.
These just look, to me, it's standard bands that you rely on. This is not the year for experimental new things, which that's unfortunate to me, because now that we're doing this podcast, we're finding so many more bands that we never knew about.
Yeah.
And I swear every week it's new stuff. that I'm just, my mind is blown about how awesome the punk music it exists today is.
Yeah.
Yet my favorite punk festival doesn't happen to have many of these bands, if any of them. They're not big enough. They don't draw people. But my thought, the way I hope it to be, if not this year, in the future, is you have the big bands that everyone's going to come for.
Yeah.
And then you can throw in all those new bands to try to gain them access to that, to become big, the next generation of bigness, so that 20 years from now, it's still not NOFX is the only punk band that we have come every year.
Okay,
I mean, it's like, I like. Okay.
I have a question for you. Isn't that what happens in the morning when we just don't go because we can't handle a whole day of drinking in the sun? And
That is half and half true.
Okay.
Because I do go look into, not all, but I do look into some of these bands. And it's just a lot of times, the times we don't go, we skip the oi stuff pretty much straight up. We skip a lot of the ska stuff pretty much straight up. And so, I mean, if it's a 3-day festival, we're skipping a day overall of just stuff that we're not really that into.
Yeah. But you know what, like Warped Tour was really good at that, because there's all the different stages. There was main stages, but then there was even stages where sponsors would just have somebody play between selling t-shirts, and there were so many new bands. So there was bands of all different levels playing, and
that was better.
Cool. Yeah. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
And I think a lot of that happens at punk rock bowling more on club shows, but the club shows are so limited and you can only go to one a night because they all happen at the same time. And they're so small, they sell out really quick. So it's not really a great way to see bands, because you know, usually you can only see one show a night, and a lot of people don't go to shows every single night because it's kind of exhausting. And so yeah, that's not as good of a venue to see all these up and coming bands. So I hope that they do like an additional stage, kind of like Warped Tour always had. They had like the DIY stage, they had the Ernie Ball stage, like they had all these smaller stages. And that was so great, because even when you were going to Warped Tour for specific subgenre, there was usually enough of that alone for you to be kind of busy for the whole day.
I agree. That would be awesome. But you pointed out that this year, that's not the year.
Yeah.
It's not happening this year.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Everybody is we're all trying to figure out, who were we before this? And are we still the same people? I think that's going to be our post-pandemic dilemmas. That's what I'm seeing.
If they did throw in new bands, though, this would be the year that people would be willing to just watch whatever.
That is true. I'm totally willing to watch.
I don't think they will, but I'm like, if this is the year to throw on that random band at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I wonder if other people feel the same way as us, because you and I are like, even if they were charging me the same money and there was only like one band I wanted to see per day, I'd be like, I'm in. We are going.
That's true. You need to have like the anchor.
Yeah.
You need one anchor. I mean, I prefer several anchors,
right.
But you're right. All I need is one. I'll go. I'll watch 5 other bands that I don't care about and hope that one of them's awesome.
Yeah. And all of these are kind of more of established bands so far. I'm not even seeing kind of, sometimes they have, you know, post-hardcore stuff, and here it's like a pretty straightforward lineup, but it looks good so far. I'm hoping that the club shows also don't disappoint. And I also, more than anything, just hope this actually happens and I get to go.
I think it's each party, the bands and the promoters, this is probably the year where they're asking each other to throw them a bone or do them a favor.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the band might be hurting for money and they need a gig. And then consequently, the promoter is like, we just had to do refunds for 20,000 people. Will you do us a solid? We've had you play. We've been nice. Can you just come back?
Yeah.
And, you know, I see NOFX on that bill. And I think to myself, were they asked to save punk rock bowling? You know, we forgive you for your bad comments. Just please save us. You know, something it could be.
But
I don't know that.
I don't feel like they were ever banned from punk rock bowling. I think they were just banned from a lot of from a sponsor. They lost
Their
a
sponsorship. You're
Yeah,
right.
so, and it wasn't related to punk rock bowling. I feel like. I
You're-
mean, we were there when the joke happened, and it didn't like nobody. I feel like nobody really even paid attention, and then it was
That
on
was-
TMZ of all places, and I was like, "What? Like we were there?" And
It
nobody
was
really cared.
like that. I mean, we're standing right next to each other, made
Yeah.
the joke, and I remember thinking like, oh, that's bad. But
Yeah.
I didn't think that's the end of their career or
No.
anything like that. And then you're right. We look at the news and we're like, what? And then,
Yeah.
then they lost their sponsor. It seemed like it was more of a reaction to the outrage
Yeah.
reaction.
And it must have been people who never heard of them were just more shocked. Like you and I have seen them a bunch of times. We kind of know what to expect. So
Yeah.
our threshold for being shocked by NOFX is much higher than our TMZ viewer.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. As a person making a joke, do you get a pass when you make a bad joke on purpose, knowing that it's a bad joke, and the joke is that it's so bad? I feel when they said that, that's how I felt the joke was. Like Fat Mike being like, "I'm going to tell a joke that's so offensive. I know it's offensive. I know it's bad, and I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying it for the opposite of that." But
yeah,
I guess the answer is no. You don't get a pass.
Or apparently you don't get a pass, but if there's a global pandemic, which leads to deletion of collective memory
Yes.
of everyone of what happened pre-pandemic, you do get a pass.
Okay,
So
and you wait
maybe-
3 years.
Yeah, so maybe all these people that
Gotcha.
we've been discussing on all of our previous episodes of like all these musicians that have been in trouble for saying all kinds of crazy racist stuff, maybe they will be totally in the clear after the next pandemic.
Oh my goodness,
We don't know.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Like we don't know.
Are you
and
ready
then
to move on to Weezer?
I am ready to move on. So last week we talked about Weezer had a new album, and then I read that they are also doing a musical, and they're going to be working with the same Broadway producer that did Green Day's American Idiot show, which was actually pretty good. I have seen it, and I really liked it. And I don't like musicals very much, so but it was just kind of fun because it was, you know, Green Day music. But they're doing it for albums that are spring, summer, fall, and winter, and that's when it loses a lot of interest for me, because I feel like that's a theme that bands have already done. It's a theme that has been done before and does not need to be explored again. And I feel like that's not a theme that I want to see Weezer explore.
You know, you're right. When I saw that, I thought, oh, musical. Well, that sounds interesting. And then I remember I panned their last album and I thought, okay, well, this has to be better than their last album that they just put out. And then you bring up the strong point that, well, if you're going to do it, why would you do something that's been done 1,000 times?
Yeah.
And now you got me concerned.
Yeah, if you're gonna do themes, you can't do the seasons, people. Like you gotta pick a different theme.
They could have done anything.
Anything. Yeah. Why would you do? And Weezer is not like a band that, I don't know. I feel like their songs are about simple things a lot of the times. I don't see them doing like concept albums. So, but I don't know, maybe it will be amazing. Who knows? We'll be looking out for that. And then I saw that Dan from ALKALINE TRIO is recording some songs in San Jose, which is
my hometown,
California. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he's recording with ALKALINE TRIO, so I don't know what he's recording. But I'm curious to see what he comes out with. And it looks like he, you know, was encouraged by Mark Park, who's the owner of Asian Man Records that ALKALINE TRIO used to be on, and looks like they're still friends, which is cool. And he was doing really long hours in the studio, but he didn't really post what he was recording. Maybe some solo material. We'll see.
When anyone in a band goes off and does something else, it's not going to be like ALKALINE TRIO. It's going to be like a singer-songwriter thing. That's what I'm guessing, and I'm going to be depressed. But whatever. Oh, do you ever like that when a band member leaves and does a singer-songwriter thingy?
Do I sometimes support it? Yes.
Okay, no. I know you support. I mean, okay, I'll use Dustin Kensrue from Thrice as an example. Obviously, you support him. You go to the shows, you cheer loud.
I have a
big
t-shirt.
fan, big fan. I'm just saying, has there ever been a time where you're like, that was great?
Oh, no.
Yeah, me neither.
It's good, but it's not. I mean, I usually like you for the band you're in.
Yeah.
And you know what it is because when people do solo material, they never do, oh, here's where I'm going to do my heavy stuff. Here's where I'm going to do my faster stuff. No, it's always like, here's where I'm going to try a U2 cover. Here's where I'm going to do some other cover of a song your mom listened to when you were growing up. Like, that's what they tend to do. And it's not, I mean, that's not as good as music I normally listen to personally. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Why is that? I would love to see somebody from a band and then they just go and do a project and then they'll do a heavier one.
Okay. So the singer of Thrice, we'll just say, what makes Thrice awesome? Well, you got Tepe, freaking amazing guitar player. You just took him out of the equation. You know, you got Riley, this amazing drummer. Let's take him out of the equation. And then you got the bass. Let's take the bass player out of the equation. What are you left with? One dude. I mean, yeah. You're a great singer.
He is. Yeah.
Okay, fine. You got a good voice. I like your voice a lot. It's great. And now you came up with these heavy, awesome riffs. Well, you just got rid of them. So that you've lost everything. And you're not replacing it with anything good. You're just like strumming an acoustic guitar, singing your dumb old songs. And that's why I get butthurt about it.
So I just had a realization, and we were talking about Thrice. And so the bass player and drummer of Thrice are in a band called Less Art, and it is actually heavier than Thrice now. It's a post-hardcore band. So maybe it's just not singers don't do heavier side projects, or I don't know, maybe because singers in most bands dictate the sound a lot more than other band members. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I mean, we're just talking about Dan Adriano here, and I'm worried. But I mean, because what can you possibly do?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Okay.
What else you got?
So My Chemical Romance frontman Gerard is doing a virtual concert and panel focused on mental health, and it will be happening March 2nd, and it's called Unwound and Unplugged, and basically to promote community of support, issues related to mental health and so on, and isolation. And I'm like, this concert is like 9 months too late, guys.
Oh,
like,
gee. You know,
I feel like I think it's cool that somebody's thinking about that, but it seems like kind of late in quarantine to do a mental health, or maybe it's the right time. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have been at their threshold for quite a while now.
Yeah. I really have a hard time thinking Gerard Way decided when this was going to happen.
No, I'm not blaming. No, he was probably asked to participate. And, I think it's really cool he's doing it.
So like for me,
I'm confused.
You have your concerns, which are legit. And you're like, this is way too late. What the heck? And then my thoughts are, well, you're doing a benefit with this one guy and then you're taking away the whole band. Why are they good? Because of the whole band. And the same thing I was just talking about was like, hey, you have an opportunity for so much more. And it's just going to be you doing some singer-songwriting stuff that I don't even like. And so I'm bummed out about that. However, I do think it's good that they're bringing up mental health in the mainstream context of the musical world, because I swear to you, I never heard a thing about mental health until the last decade of my life. I swear it was just not spoken about, not known about, at least as far as my life was concerned. This is like, there's no such thing as a mental health problem. That was like kind of how I was living my life, right? And so I am happy that the world is changing as a whole. And I'm glad that a mainstream person like Gerard Way is like participating in this. That's awesome. However, again, like you said, why wait so long? And for me, why don't you bring your whole band and make it this huge concert and like make it like, you know, they quit playing together for years.
that was one of the bands that just announced their reunion like right before the pandemic happened. So they were supposed to play all these big festivals, and now they're kind of on hold. And I feel like, you know, that would cheer up a lot of people. A lot of emo kids would be a little bit cheered up. Speaking of which, I spent Valentine's Day watching Dashboard Confessionals stream, and that was kind of an okay way to spend Valentine's Day in quarantine. Like it was fun. It was really good quality of recording. It was a recording, but I thought it would be a live show when I bought tickets. But it was a really good quality, and I feel like My Chemical Romance has a lot of fans that are, you know, I'm sure feeling down like most people are, and that would actually cheer them up quite a bit too, because a lot of them couldn't get tickets to, like, they had a reunion show in LA, and obviously only so many people could go, and it was a huge thing of, you know, all the people who didn't get tickets. And so you're right, if they wanted to cheer us up, they could they could just reunite and play. So.
And for my last counterpoint over everything I just said is, well, now I'm giving the guy a hard time for playing a free show when he's not making any money, and he hasn't made any money for, you know, 2 years. And here I am giving him a hard time. So, okay, I got to call myself out for that as well. But I'm a point counterpoint kind of person with everything.
Yeah, and it's cool that, like you said, he's raising awareness about mental health. And actually, I feel like that's music community overall has been doing a pretty good job about that. Even pop singers and musicians talk about it a lot more, and they're probably some of the first celebrities to speak out about it. And I think because a lot of musicians, you know, experience all kinds of challenges, and which, you know, give them inspiration for songs, but also give them things that they need to overcome.
So hopefully that, you know, keeps pushing forward, because
it has been normalized quite a bit.
Like, it's been so normalized that even I'm aware of things now. That's how.
that's crazy. It's definitely an issue that comes. And I mean, we've had so many like suicide from famous musicians in that time frame that you said, which it became popular. So yeah, I think that's probably driving some of that.
If people can get help, then they can be helped. So the more access, the better. The more awareness, the better. All right.
Yeah, and less stigma, the better.
Absolutely.
And then we have some bad news.
Yep. I was annoyed. And this happened a couple months ago. But LA Machina, they broke up, and I only found out about it this week because I think it was the singer or the band member, Susie Moon. Now she's putting out a solo EP. So that's how I found out about it, because I wasn't paying attention. And this was annoying because like at the end of the year, when I'm doing my end of the year list, they had put out their last single, and it was so good. I mean, it was so good. I'm like, this is going to be my new favorite thing. This band is so awesome. They had like a punk Wolf Mother sound. And I like Wolf Mother. I like old classic rock stuff. Yeah. But they were like hard rock, punk, hard rock. And now I'm bummed.
But yeah, isn't one of them in the darts? So at least we still have that. But yeah, that's one of La Machina. I think we're pronouncing it correctly.
I don't even know. Let's just say all the ways. LA Machina, La Machina, La Machina, LA Machina,
etc. But yeah, that was a band that played the virtual punk rock bowling, and then I watched them do a stream for their CD release like a couple months ago. So that's just so weird. They released an album, never got to tour in it, had a pretty cool show, and then done. This COVID is just taking away too many things that I enjoy.
I was sad.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll give Susie Moon a listen to. I'm not going to throw her under the bus yet. She's been in a bunch of other bands that are good. Yeah. So, for me to just assume it's going to be solo singer-songwriter crappy stuff, I've taken it too far. I got to pull back my own preemptive critique. I've been very critiquey of late. I mean, not that I'm unjustified. I'm just, sometimes I take it a little too far.
Okay.
Reeling it back in.
There's a ton of, speaking of critiquing, there's a ton of new releases this week, or the last couple of weeks.
Tons of stuff.
Tons of new stuff. So that's pretty exciting. And I feel like there's way less live streams happening, but bands are releasing stuff. So maybe everybody's secretly getting ready to tour.
Yeah.
They're all secretly booking shows. That's, I'm hoping, just in the background, there's all these shows being booked and they're all just going to be announced as soon as shows are allowed.
Yes.
Again. That's my theory. But the first one is the Offspring.
Let the bad times roll. Now,
I know.
I have criticized Offspring also on the show.
I know.
Offspring, one of the bands, first punk bands of the modern world that I got into.
Yep.
You know, I like the Ramones, all that stuff way before, but let's just talk about, in my modern world, the mid 90s is when the modern punk world starts. Offspring were at the beginning of that. They were a huge favorite band of mine. And then I wrote, they had Defy You, talked about it before, did not like it. So, okay, where I'm at now was extremely low expectations, like to the point where I dreaded even hitting the play button.
I know.
Thinking it would, not just thinking, but knowing that it was going to be terrible.
And then it starts, and I have not discussed this before, but then the song starts, and I don't know what your impression was, but I was like, oh God.
No, I had such a negative mindset that I was like, this is exactly what I thought it would be.
Oh, okay.
You know, but when you're like, this is so, I was expecting the worst, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay,
it's
the
kind
worst.
It kind of gave me Ixnay on the Ombre vibes, but not in like a good way. Like
correct.
The worst part of Ixnay mixed with something like their new stuff, like why don't you get a job, Defy You, kind of like just generic, sort of writing a radio song, but not like too it's like not too rocking, not too catchy, not too anything. It's just forgettable. That's what it is. It's forgettable, disappointing, and that's where I'm at with that one.
Absolutely agree with everything. And here's the thing though, I was committed. I'm like, okay, the first 30 seconds I already know.
Oh, and
I know the song.
Bad. It did get better after 30 seconds.
But I
will give it that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I was literally probably groaning when the intro, and then I was like, okay, now it's just boring.
Yes,
but
I committed to the full song. So you were correct. The first 30 seconds, just like you said, exact same thought. And then I thought, this part is better than the last 30 seconds because they added a guitar.
Yeah.
Like it was an acoustic guitar doing some stupid strummy strum, which I don't like. And then like the electric guitar played, not heavy, not even loudly, but it showed up. So I was like, okay, this song is not their worst song. It is just a bad song that I don't like. So I was, you know, my relative happiness level went up by 1 based on one little thing, right? And I listened to the rest of the song, and you're right. I was like, this song's taking forever, and it's boring as hell, and I don't even like it. But you know, it's not their worst song. And then guess what song automatically started playing after?
Oh no, Defy You.
No, even worse. A song I forgot about it. Hit that. That.
Oh no.
That might be.
Oh.
So I thought, okay, this is better than at least 2 other Offspring songs.
You're right.
So this song now is just moving into the bad, I don't care about category.
Yeah.
It's not even classic.
What's going on with Offspring is I feel like when we used to see them when they were good, they had a guy who did sort of a lot of background vocals and extra percussion and like sometimes he played guitar. What? I don't remember. Yeah, Higgins or something. Was that his name? And I feel like now, instead of him being in the background of the band, that's the foreground of the band. Like that's what the sound is now. Instead of it kind of being in the background, like playing along with it, it is now leading. And that's where I'm just hoping the rest of the album is better, but expectations
Come on!
I know. What? Look at me,
They're
eternal
done.
Optimist over here. Apparently,
I hope I'm wrong because it's just one of those things where I don't understand when you're so good at something, and you decide you're not doing that. You are going to do something new. You're not going to like expand on what's good and take it into new territories and and try to come up with some. No, forget it. You're like, I'm not going to do what I'm good at. I'm going to purposely try different things. And I just don't understand why bands do that. Because
I think
it's stupid.
Are they thinking that this is the way to get a radio single? Is that what they're writing for? I don't it's unclear to me.
At this point, what? They're 50 years old.
Yeah.
Why would anyone listen to them that is 20 or 15 years old, no matter how good their radio hit was? So shouldn't you be playing for yourself at this point? You're a multi-millionaire. Or are you telling me the stuff that I liked in the first place, that was you faking it? And this is your actual, who you really are. And I'm the one that is taking I'm taking it the wrong way. I'm the exact opposite. You know, like, why don't you get a job is actually straight from the heart, how he really feels. And that's his emotional state, where I think of Get a Job as like their stupidest song ever, because I can't stand that reggae garbage beat that what happened to Smash? What Nitro?
The album was so good. That album is also good. I know. It's just, that's what I was thinking of when I listened to that song. I was like, what happened to Smash?
And then, you know, I will say though, I liked that song better than I liked that Weezer album that we reviewed last week.
Okay.
So I think I will like it more than the Weezer album, which I did declare as the worst album of the year in January.
That's right. You already called it, so nobody better make a worse album.
I know. I'd be like, you can't prove me wrong. I got 11 more months to go. Still strong on that.
That was a very confident call there.
You know what? You know what's going to happen? It's going to have that Radiohead thing where you end up hearing something so many times that even though it's bad, you convince yourself that it's good after the 100th time. So the key for me is to not go back.
Listen to it. Yeah.
It already accidentally happened I heard a song like for the second time. And I'm like, oh boy, I better not listen to that one again.
See,
because they're going to try to turn me.
You need a block feature for songs, like you do on all the other social networks. You just need a block and ignore.
Don't allow them to take away your hate.
Yeah.
Terrible advice. Oh shoot. Okay, what's next?
Destroy Boys.
Oh man, Destroy Boys. Talk about changing attitude from one band to the next. Freaking Destroy Boys are awesome. This band is one of those bands that I like. This is the way I like to hear things. This is, it just doesn't get much better than this. Destroy Boys. I don't even know how I missed them several years ago, and I'll talk about that slightly more as we move on to the next band we talked about. But man, this is punk rock like I like punk rock. It is fast, aggressive, but it's not ridiculous. It's not,
and
like,
it's not overproduced.
Like, it's none of that. You know, I do like bands that do that. I like that, but that's not my favorite punk. This is just someone that's yelling and has something on their mind and, you know, is singing strongly about it with a lot of passion and emotion, playing fast, but not ridiculously fast, where the whole point is to just play fast. I feel like, no, you are communicating with me on a level that I can understand. And that's why Destroy Boys is awesome.
Yeah.
Love them.
And it's kind of not too produced. It's decent sound quality. It's not like overproduced sound quality. Definitely sounds raw to me, which I like. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that brings me to the next band I like, Cloud Nothings, but for totally different reasons. So this is when I was talking about how did I miss Destroy Boys?
Yeah.
But I did know about Cloud Nothings. And so this is what happened. We were DJs at one point and we stopped doing our radio show because life got in the way.
Yeah.
And so I'm not hearing all the new punk anymore. I'm not hearing any punk. And I'm like desperate. I don't even know where to find new punk. I don't know. I'm like, you know what? I don't think there is punk anymore. I'm just going to start listening to indie rock because I'm just having a hard time. I don't know where to go. And the two bands that I liked in the indie rock world were Japan Droids
and
Cloud Nothings. To me, they're extremely similar sounding bands. And I like both of them. And so that's why I chose Cloud Nothings this week. They have a new song called There's Nothing Without You. It is, as far as indie rock goes, very aggressive for indie rock. You know, I'd say it's even a punk song. They just happen to be an indie rock band overall, but it's a very aggressive indie rock song. And the freaking chorus, they bring in guest vocals, which I normally don't like, but this is like a duet, and it just sounds really good. It breaks up the verse so good. I just thought this is a catchy ass rough song, and it's totally lo-fi, well, not totally lo-fi, but raw-ish fi production. So even though it's an indie rock band, it's still heavily distorted guitar. It is a dirty sounding bass. These drums are like, you know, they aren't clean in the slightest. So I really like that song.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the punk level of Destroyed.
No, I thought it was a little garagey.
Yeah, there you go. It is garagey.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I don't know how I was describing the production when I said rough fire. I should just say garage rock. Duh. Okay, good call. And
that's why it takes two of us to do this.
Yeah, you have to explain what I'm talking about because I don't even know how to do it myself. And so, okay, I'm listening to the new punk tracks sound list on Spotify, and it took me to a song that was just like ridiculously catchy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked into the band. Oh shoot, I can't even remember what the name of the band. I'll find them, but anyway. Turns out there's a whole pop punk scene out of Japan that I was just I just didn't know about. It's just one, again, I didn't know. It's huge.
I feel like we heard a little bit about it because some of our friends' bands have toured in Japan, and they've said it was like amazing because people go crazy at shows. That's like, that's on my bucket list, I guess, is to go see a punk show in Japan because it's been described to me as pretty cool.
And man, now that you mentioned that, I'm like, yes, that is an excellent idea because there's some freaking, I mean, it's pop punk. So let's not get into this raw Destroy Boys stuff. No, this is pop punk stuff. But I'm telling you, this is like the catchiest freaking song, and it's hella good. The band is called Shank. The song is called Rising Down. And the chorus is outrageous. It's just so catchy. It's unbelievable. And I mean, it is very sheen. That's the thing that I don't like about it is the sheen level is just very clean. It is, you know, there's Blink 182 and that's the max of sheen. I mean, that's even beyond the max of sheen. I don't like that. They're there though. They're that newfound glory style sound. But man, that freaking song is so catchy. I mean, it over the pros outweigh the cons. And Shank is awesome, and Rising Down is an awesome song. And like you said, you got to go to Japan to find this stuff, and you got to check them out if you go there. Because
I think we should go to Japan.
It makes perfect sense. There's a scene. There's a bunch of these bands. We got to find them. We got to bring them up on this show because it's good stuff.
I'm like, I don't know. Why haven't I been to Japan yet? They have Hello Kitty. They have all these pop punk bands. There's food. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing quarantining in California over here?
Yep. The next band I found this week is called Pleasure Venom. The song is called Fascist. This band is Wild Band of the Week. This is out of control. This is one of those bands that you can't even classify this stuff because it changes genres in the middle of the song. It starts off as like post-punk, post-hardcore, angular, art broody, and then it's the singer's this wild hyena voice that is just out of control. And then it gets into like this insane punk speed drumming, and it is all over the place. This is like art punk extraordinaire, the garage fi sound. And it's like a 4-minute long song. And then at like 3 minutes or 2.5, I can't remember exactly, they're like, oh, now we're going to play slow. And they just like stop what they're doing completely in the middle of the song and just like tone it down 75% and go into totally some experimental noise where it's just like meandering, whatever. And I'm like, well, my mind is blown. I'm in outer space. I don't even know what's going on anymore. And that's why freaking Pleasure Venom blew my mind with the song Fascist. It is amazing,
Yeah.
weird, and you're talking about band I would love to see live at Punk Rock Bowling, where we'd bring in something so new that it would just destroy the audience. Like they wouldn't even know what hit them. This would be the band I would be picking as like, let's bring in something different, but that is rad. Well, besides Destroy Boys, Destroy Boys, they would fit in fine, just the way they are. They're just awesome. This band though, freaking Pleasure Venom, this is mind melting. It's just out of control. Loved it.
You know what? I don't understand why you and I are not in charge of planning the new music stage at Punk Rock Bowling.
We should. I mean, I understand. Fine. Don't put us on as booking the big band.
No.
Everyone else, though, we pick them all. We'd come up with the best show on the planet.
It would be pretty good.
Even just this week alone, for freaking in putting in Destroy Boys, Pleasure Venom, and Shank.
Boom.
We're already there. It's like, this is good stuff.
I mean, we wouldn't like the show. Wait, what am I trying to say?
I would say, we got to skip NOFX because I want to go see Destroy Boys instead. That's what I'm saying. But you might not have been saying that.
We'll see.
Well, that was the music I found this week that I thought was worth sharing.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Do you have a grudge this week?
I have a grudge. Where did I put my grudge? I put my compartmentalized. Oh yeah, it was famous quotes, which I'm tired of.
Yeah.
Famous quotes are coming around. And the thing is like I was telling Olga earlier, anyone can say anything and it can be catchy and whatnot. It doesn't mean it's good and it doesn't mean you have to listen to it, but yet you put it in a book, you put someone's name next to it, and then all of a sudden they become a philosophical genius. And when you go and you look into the backstories of some of these philosophical geniuses, you find that they weren't doing anything. They were just friends with someone. A lot of them didn't do anything for a job. They just sat around on their butt and wrote stupid books. And that's where I'm just like, if you didn't live a life and you're just writing about life, then why am I going to listen to anything you have to say? Plato, Aristotle. I don't care. What did you do? You sat around all day, wrote down your thoughts. I could do the same thing and no one would care. And I don't care about you.
I mean, you're sharing your thoughts in this podcast. You are doing something similar.
This is the thing though. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm telling you Destroy Boys are an awesome band.
That's
like, you should check them out. And guess
I
what?
don't know. Maybe
that's fine. It's not going to solve your problem. I did not say the key to life is listening to Destroy Boys. The key to life is listening to the Ramones. But I didn't even say that.
I just feel like I would rather buy those plates of quotes from things you say than most of the things that are sold. Instead of live, laugh, love, I'll buy something Colin says, like
live, laugh, love. What's that mean?
I don't know.
And then the other one, like I said, the one that I was using as the example earlier was the best is the enemy of the good. But then on the other hand, people use the exact same thing to say the exact opposite thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like being great gets in the way of being good, but also being good gets in the way of being great. So in the end, I'm annoyed with quotes because they're meaningless. And I would rather just come up with something else like Destroy Boys should play Punk Rock Bowling.
Yeah, I'd buy a mug that said that.
That's right. Destroy Boys should be playing. It would be Pleasure Venom should be playing Punk Rock Bowling. Call it Almost Punk Podcast. I mean,
Offspring should write songs that sound more like Smash.
Right. See, these are already better. And I think we need to do a better job. You're right. Us modern people to bring in something new because these old quotes are just we need to just
make better quotes, maybe to have marketing because there's all this merch. We just have to have better quotes to
fine. Then we're going to do the book, the Almost Punk Podcast, better book of quotes.
That's right. It'll be like wise things we have said.
It would be like, if you're good at playing awesome punk songs, then continue to do that.
I kind of like it. Of course I like it. That's what we think.
Oh, boy.
And then, so my grudge this week is people who tell you, oh, have you had the vaccine yet? You should get it. And I'm just like, you should shut the fuck up. That's what you should do. Because I am waiting for my turn and I don't need you parading in front of me what I should do. You're not Aristotle. I don't have a mug that says you should get a vaccine. I'm not anti getting the vaccine. I'm trying to get a vaccine. So don't tell me I should get a vaccine. That's like telling people stop being poor. You should be born into a loving and supporting family. There's things you cannot control, people. It's like, oh, okay, why didn't I think of that? Oh, here I was sitting at home.
Have you heard of this thing called vaccine? I think
Yeah.
you should probably go out and check into that and probably go get yourself one.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, Maddie, you mother.
Oh, you think I should get it? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have a problem and people give you the most obvious answer, like you haven't thought of it. And
Isn't that like what I do all the time? Probably to you, probably more than anybody I know.
Probably. Like, oh, this doesn't, why don't you do this? No, but the vaccine is even less out of your control than most other things in life. Like, at this point, that is almost harder to control than the family you're born into.
Yeah. No, agreed. And that can go with not just a vaccine, but anything.
Yeah. But yeah, somebody recently told me that. Oh, have you got it? You should get it. And I'm like, oh, what? Why haven't I thought of that? Here I was just sitting around not getting vaccinated.
Maybe they had good intentions.
I don't know about that.
They think they're just really out to get you, just to bother you.
I felt like it was a trolling situation. So that's how it felt.
Oh, man. Well,
And I think that's about wraps it up. I think you guys should all get the vaccine. I don't know why you haven't, if you haven't done it already.
Destroy Boys should play Punk Rock Bowling / Colin.
Bands
Punk podcasts.
Bands should write songs we like.
That's true too.
Just saying.
All right. See you next time, and over and out.
Yep.